And welcome back. Now, the world premiere of a locally produced film called Tin Soldiers will be screened at the Jozi Film Festival later this week. The movie is about a global movement advocating for the awareness of a genetic condition called Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva, or FOP, which is an illness that slowly turns muscle, ligaments and tissue into bone that eventually leads to immobility. Now, there are only 18 known cases of FOP in Africa, and 16 of those cases are in South Africa. And joining us now is Odette Schwegler, the director and producer of the film Tin Soldiers. Odette, thanks so much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I have never heard of Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva before, but given that there are only 18 people on the entire African continent and 16 of those living with it here, perhaps not as surprising.
Well, I mean, it is one of the world's most rare conditions. And it affects currently known cases of between 800 and 900 people globally, but that doesn't mean those are the only cases that exist. Because it's so rare, often doctors don't know what it is that they're seeing when they see it. And in many, many cases, it's believed that people are just not diagnosed. So statistically, it's believed that there should be somewhere between 4,000 to 5,000 patients known globally, and we only know of 800 to 900. So a big part of the film and the awareness coming out of the film is really a drive to try and find the undiagnosed. And we have established a non-profit organization which will focus on identifying undiagnosed patients. So 18 across the continent is not the actual number. It's believed that we should be seeing between 600 and 800 cases on the continent. So there really is a very important need to raise awareness and find these people.
So you've produced and directed this film, Tin Soldiers. Tell us more about it, and also, of course, the inspiration. You spoke about how you want to create awareness, but was there any further motivation to actually produce this?
Well, the motivation really came from a mother of a child with FOP in the United States. I met her almost 10 years ago when I was working for Carte Blanche, and we were doing a number of medical stories in the States, and this was one of them. And her name's Amanda Kelly, and she and her son were just and are some of the most incredible people I've ever met. And I left the United States having done that story thinking, wow, I was heavily pregnant at the time, and it really touched me that I could have a child like this because it is so random. Anyway, so Amanda and I stayed in touch, and about a year ago she contacted me because they were having the first ever meeting between Brazilian patients and African patients, and from there we thought, well, could we make a documentary? And there the journey began, and we have met through this journey just the most incredible people who have taught me so many things and changed me in ways that I couldn't have imagined at the beginning of this journey. People who are locked into their own bodies and yet still have this incredible ability to prevail and to inspire. So they really are the inspiration behind the work that continues beyond the film.
So when you say people are locked into their own bodies, and I'm trying to understand and also bring home to our viewers exactly what the repercussions are when one is diagnosed, when you do suffer from FOP. Just give us, a short insight into that from what you've learned through your research.
So this is the only condition known to man where one organ in the body changes into another organ. So your heart can't become your liver. But in this case, muscle and ligaments and fibrous tissue turn into bone, often as a result of an injury. So the body's response to injury is make bone to fix it. And also spontaneous flare-ups. So these people get these inflammatory flare-ups, and what's left as a result is bone. So if you imagine your body creating a second skeleton, and then you get stuck.
So you essentially becoming calcified.
Correct. So eventually people with FOP lose mobility and get stuck in a position. And And I can't imagine what it must be like as a parent, because you have a child who's born with this, and children just need to be children. They need to run and play and climb. And as a parent, the fear of them being hurt and their condition deepening must just be terrifying.
So you've produced this film and you know, hoping to create awareness, but there is a global movement as well currently. Talk to us more about that.
Okay, so the IFOPA is the global patient advocacy group, and they're a very, very powerful organization globally, and an incredibly strong support for families with FOP. And growing out of the film and working with them, there really is just now a focus to identify patients who've not been yet diagnosed. Because can you imagine being a parent who has a child who's slowly turning into a statue and not knowing what it is, and your doctors don't know what it is? And that, we believe, is the reality for thousands of people across the globe. So, you know, Amanda's biggest passion is to help find those people, and there is this incredible family of FOP parents and supporters who are just determined to help find the missing families, and I'm really humbled to be a part of that journey.
And the 16 of the 18 known cases in Africa, the South African cases, you've been able to catch up with them, any or all of them?
Well,
for example?
two people feature in the film from Cape Town, and they'll be joining us at the premiere, as will some of the other patients from the Gauteng area. And, you know, it's not by accident that most of the people who've been identified are identified here. The reason for that really is because we have a champion, and that champion comes in the form of a pediatric rheumatologist at the Red Cross Children's Hospital by the name of Dr. Chris Scott. He came across a case about 10 years ago, was mystified by it, went to the research, found the international experts, Dr. Fred Kaplan and his team, and from there identified that patient, and has identified more and more and more. And by the way, just also to mention that Dr. Fred Kaplan, who is the world leading expert, as well as FOP specialist clinician from Brazil, Dr. Patricia Delay, as well as Amanda Kelly and others, will be flying to South Africa to join us for the premiere on Saturday.
And just very quickly, Odette, is this genetic?
It is genetic. It is a genetic condition, so you're born with it. And you know what struck me when I was pregnant, when I heard about it the first time, is that we have 6 billion DNA codes in our bodies. That makes us up. It's a misspelling of one of those. 1 in 6 billion causes this catastrophic thing. And yeah.
And of course, your premiere, the world premiere, happens this weekend.
It does. We're very, very excited. We were picked up by the Jozi Film Festival, and they've been just incredible in support. So the world premiere is Saturday at the Hyde Park New Metro Cinemas at 3 o'clock, and tickets are moving fast, we're very happy to say. And yeah, that's what it is. So we're really just very excited to set this film out to the world, but also to launch this patient identification program, which we believe is so, so crucial.
So thank you so much for the work that you do in this regard, and hopefully this particular broadcast would also go some ways in creating awareness that is much needed. That was Odette Schwegler, the director and producer of the film Tin Soldiers, that is based on this genetic condition called Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva, or FOP, and it sounds absolutely fascinating, but also very debilitating. So if you can, do go out and watch it, but also help spread the awareness. Let's take a break.